All right, what's going on, party people? This your man Griff, and today we have a special interview going down with Miss Lavette Bell, or notary, signing agent, and realtor here in the Hampton Roads area. And we're just going to be just talking. We're just having a conversation, just talking about notary, about real estate, and just to help you as a notary signing agent have a better understanding of the process. A while back, probably at the end of last year, I did a video talking about the loan process from the standpoint that it starts with a loan officer reaching out to a client, a homeowner, and saying they asked them about refinancing. Then the loan officer passes it over to a processor, then a processor to an underwriter. Then from the underwriter, it goes to the title settlement escrow people. And then from there, that's where we come in. And we come in either directly with the title escrow people or through a signing company. And one of the things that I've been trying to help people understand is that when documents are late or things are held up and you're going through a signing company, it's more than likely because from the title company going all the way back to the loan officer, excuse me, there's some type of hiccup, there's some type of slowdown, because most signing companies are just that. They're just the middle person to get the notary. They don't have anything to do with document preparations and all of that, even though a lot of they have all of these instructions that make it seem like they do. But in actuality, they're there to just get a notary, and in a lot of cases to have us do scan backs to make sure them documents are straight before we ship them back to the title company. And if you look at your FedEx slip or UPS slip, a lot of times they're going straight back to the title company, not necessarily to the signing company, then the title company. So Ms. Bell is going to talk about her experience and what she understands, and just to sort of educate everybody from a realtor's perspective of the importance of us as notaries doing what we're supposed to do and how it affects people. And before I switch it over to her, I know firsthand, because one of my friends, she's a real estate agent, and she told me that one of the issues was that the notary, apparently they didn't know where a FedEx drop was at. They was in Hampton, and those of you who don't understand, but she knows where Hampton is. So they was in Hampton doing a closing, and instead of her going over to the FedEx that's over there by Tyson or Mercedes in Hampton, the person didn't know where to go. So they didn't ship the documents till the next day, which meant her pay, she couldn't get paid. It was another day or so before she could get paid. So it added a delay in her getting paid because the notary had time to get to a FedEx spot, but just didn't know where to go and didn't feel like trying to figure it out. And that delayed everybody in the process of getting paid by about a day or so. So we're going to throw it on over to Miss Bell. So you have at it. Go for it, young lady.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to clear up. I'm actually a real estate agent, not a realtor. And I know most
Oh,
people kind
my bad.
of get the two. They use the terms interchangeably, but we're not the same. And I don't want to get in trouble. And what's the difference? About $700 a year between the two.
Gotcha.
Um, so yeah, I just want to piggyback on what you're saying about the process. When you are actually a real estate agent or a realtor and you're also a notary signing agent, you kind of you have a little bit more chill because you actually know what's going on. For instance, documents can be held up sometimes. As the real estate agent, I get a copy of the out statement. So what am I looking for? I'm looking to make sure my commission is straight. I'm making sure my company admin fees are on there, because if it's not on there, my company will take that money out of my commission.
Mhm.
So yeah, I need to make sure that's straight. And many times that's being left off, or the commission is not straight. So you have to contact the title company or the attorney. And again, they're making all those last minute changes. Or let's just say, I recommended a contractor, and I, told the contractor he's going to get paid at closing, and he agreed to it. Is my responsibility to make sure that invoice is added to that out statement. And like I said, sometimes all of that stuff is being left off. So you, as the agent, One, need to make sure your commission's straight, need to make sure the brokerage fees are straight, need to make sure your contractors are closed, because guess what? If you don't make sure that they get paid, then they're going to be less likely to do a job for you in the future and wait for closing and get paid. The termite people got to get paid. So all of these people have to get paid. And it is a large part of our responsibility to make sure. Taxes are always changing. Sometimes the seller will be adamant about, I just paid my taxes, I'm not paying again. You know what I'm saying? So the attorney or the title company has to work that out. So up until the last minute, changes are always being made. Now you, the notary sitting at home, you're not aware of all the stuff that's happening behind the scenes. You're just waiting on that paperwork to come through. And you just thinking, well, why aren't they sending it to me? Because it's not ready. So relax, if you can. I had a signing a couple of weeks ago. It was a last minute signing that I got, and it was like, well, can you go out at 7:30? And I was like, yeah, I was cooking. I'm like, yeah, I can go out there. You know what I'm saying? I actually called the client as soon as I got off the phone. I said, hey, I'm supposed to come to your house at 7:30. And they were like, 7:30? They told me 6:30. I said, well, I'm looking at your paperwork. I said, but you know what? I don't even have your loan docs yet. And I said, hopefully I'll get them in time. I said, but what are you doing this evening? And they go, well, I'm not doing anything. I'm going to be in for the rest of the night. Okay. As long as you're going to be there and available, I will come. I don't care if it takes, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, I'm coming. You know what I'm saying? Once I get those documents, I'm not going to stress myself out because it's not my fault. And I'm not going to, be rushing and making mistakes. I'm going to take my time. So what I'll let them know is, haven't received your loan documents, I will keep you updated. I will, text you every 15 to 20 minutes to let you know, give you updates. They're okay with that as long as you keep them in the know. They want to stay in the loop. They don't want you to be like, they don't want to just be sitting at home like, where's the notary? You know what I'm saying? What's going on? I haven't heard from anybody. So if they don't hear from you, if you're not constantly assuring them, guess what they're going to do? They're going to contact the lender or whoever their contact is and say, hey, I haven't heard from the notary. And of course, they're going to put all that on you. They're not going to say, well, we haven't sent her the loan docs yet. You know what I'm saying? So that's probably why they're not going to do that. So it's very important that once you receive that paperwork, that order, you contact them immediately. Haven't received your paperwork. When I get your paperwork, I'm going to review it, make sure everything is right. I have to print it out. I have to print out another copy for you, and I'll be on my way. And I'm going to keep updating you along the way up until the point that I actually arrive. I'm in a car now. I'm heading to you. You know what I'm saying? That happened to me a few weeks ago. The rain, it was a last minute signing, and it was like, damn, remember the rain we got a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
It was pouring. I had to pull over because I couldn't see. And I text them, hey, it's pouring. I had to pull over they understand. As long as you are, reassuring them and staying in contact with them, they don't mind. They're cool. They know, they just want to know that you're coming. They're going to get it over with. Now, there are some people that, probably have things to do. And, in those situations, you might have to contact the lender and say, hey, didn't get the loan docs yet. They say they have plans this evening or whatever. So that's a whole different story. But
right. And I've been there before.
Right. So as a real estate agent, I never, I'm always, I just kind of just stay relaxed and just stay calm about it. And, and I assured the signing company as well, look, I'm part of the team. Just let me know, get the docs to me as soon as, and they appreciate that too. They don't want no notary hounding them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because really they feel like it's not my job to explain to you and this and that. We down at the bottom of the totem pole sometimes.
Now let me hop in on that point. Now, what you said right there is true, because I always say the notaries are the most important, but the least powerful.
Right.
We are the most important in this process because no matter how smooth, no matter how good the deal is, no matter how much you may like the lender, title company, all of that, the deal doesn't get done unless there's a notary. And that's law. You got to have a notary there. Okay. Yes. So we're the most important, but the people with the power are the lender, the ones with the money. So when they want things to happen, things happen because the people who are going to get paid before us are the loan officer, the processor, the underwriter, and all of them.
Yep.
And their client is the lender. They're trying to make sure that person is taken care of. And so it's on them to get things straight. So if there's any title company, while y'all looking at this video, I'm not trying to throw y'all under the bus. This is just, y'all know this is just the way it is.
Yes.
So I tell notaries all the time, chill. I understand in your W-2 job, it was very important for you to be astute and to take the responsibility and the ownership of everything that failed as if it was yours. But in this case, that's not, in this industry, to me, it's not the same, because there are people who have to put something together to give to you.
Right.
And you have no power to force or rush the process.
Yes.
You cannot make a title company anybody. So I hear notaries all the time fussing and saying, well, I'm gonna call them and I'm gonna call them, and they keep calling. And I'm like,
all you
you
doing
have
is
to,
ticking them off.
you're just ticking them off. And especially when they have multiple signings going on, multiple real issues. So you're not even at the table.
Right.
And you're complaining and you're and you're fussing about not having the documents. And I said, okay, so why are you fussing? Well, you're fussing because you think that it's going to make you look bad.
Right.
But it's not your fault.
Right.
You didn't do anything to cause the documents to come late. And if you truly operate independent as this, I'm the notary, and I tell them, I said, I don't work directly for them. I'm contracted by them. Therefore, you don't take on the onus. And I know that's opposite of what a lot of people are taught. You know, you are the extension, you are the right-hand person of, am I really? Because I'm really not, because I don't even know what's going on. They haven't included me, because to me, when you're the right-hand person of somebody, that right hand knows what the other hand is doing. And in the process of trying to get the documents to go to an assignment, you don't know anything.
Right. And not to mention is you're waiting for that loan docs for that one signing. You're dealing with a company that has multiple transactions going on simultaneously. And the closer to the end of the month, the crazier it is for these people. So if you can just relax, chill out, let them know, look, just get it to me when you can. I got you. I'm gonna stay in contact with the borrower, the signer. They appreciate that. And I always let them know, look, I'm part of your team. You know what I'm saying? I'm boots on the ground. You know, I have them laughing and everything. They be like, we really appreciate that, Lavette. Thank you so much. You know, I was just speaking with one of my direct attorneys yesterday, and we were talking about it. I got on the phone with her, and you know, with something going on, I said, you know, is there anything I can do? And they were like, no, Lavette, you're wonderful. Thank you. Is there anything we could do for you? I'm like, just keep some signers coming. That's it. You know, I said, no, but thank you for asking. I just feel like I'm part of the team. I'm out here. I'm mobile. I can do things. So you just let me know what you need to happen. But I'm just the type of person, I try to control my process as much as possible. You know what I'm saying? So if you could just remember, notaries, that these people, they have multiple transactions going on. It's not just you. They're not just working on your transaction. They're working on many of them, you know, simultaneously. So you have to relax. If you can't do it, if you have other plans, or if the buyer has other plans, just let the title company or whoever know. Just be straight up, look, you know, if you can't get it to me by this date, then, I mean, this time, then I can't do it. Or, you know, the signer said that they have plans too. So, you know, I won't be able to do it if you don't get me the documents by this time. But, you know, just relax, stay in contact, make them feel comfortable, the signing company. And, you know, like I said, stay in contact with the signers, make them feel comfortable. Like I said, just reassuring them, those constant updates. Hey, haven't got it. I'm still coming. You're going to be there, right? That's fine. And everybody is cool. That's it.
And that's the thing. Everybody is cool. And see, one of the things that I've learned, and maybe I would have to say, maybe it's a little bit of my fault. And I say this because I did that document prep video and showing people how I go about prepping the documents. But I will be honest, that's good for when you first start, to get a feel for it, to get more familiar with the flow, not the content of the documents, but the flow of where stuff is at. But when you start trying to make money in this business, sometimes you don't have time to sit at home for 2 hours and go through documents and prep them. You got to be ready to go. But the
Right.
document prep helps
Yes.
from the standpoint of getting you more familiar. So
Mhm.
every company that I've done a signing for, I've
Mhm.
done a document prep with, for that company. So in multiple ones, so that if something comes up at the last minute for, let's say, Armor Title or Solidify, or I haven't done Amrock, but any of them, if something comes up at the last minute, or Signex or Signature Closers, and
Mhm.
then if you have like Signature Closers, you have this one company called, you got Radiant Title, you got Old Republic, you got Max something. I forget how one's called Max something. So you have that, and it's like, okay, I understand the flow. So you can see who the title company is, and because you've taken time out in the past
Mhm.
to do a doc prep, in the future, when the rubber hits the road, and you like, okay, they're like, hey, look, we got this thing, we need you to go now. You
Mhm.
can go and do it. I mean, I had a signing the other day that the documents got shipped to me.
Mhm.
So I had to do a quick look through. I was like, okay, got it. And I was able to go and do what I needed to do. But because I was familiar with the company and I've done doc prep before, a lot of notaries want these documents so far ahead of time that because they want to spend hours on doc prep. And I'm like, okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But at some point in time, you have to be able to say, I'm good with this and I can go. I can go.
And that's the thing. They're still not sure of themselves. They're still scared. Like I was like that in the very beginning because I was scared.
Mhm.
I wanted to make sure everything was right. I print out the documents, make sure all of them are there, and I'm out the door.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm so familiar with the documents now. I know where they need to sign at. I know what needs to go on this form or what needs to go on that form. If I'm not sure if there's a form that comes up, I've never seen it before, then I get on the phone with, the title company. I'll call NNA or another notary. Now I'm gonna call you
Yes.
and just find out. But a lot of them, they spend all of this time prepping because they're scared. It's just like
Yeah.
when I used to work at the call centers, and these people would do everything in the world. They practicing their script, and I'm saying, getting their desk straight, and they're scared to death to make a phone call.
Right.
Scared to death. It's the same situation. It's all of that is just fear. I'm
Yeah.
saying, there's
And
no way
one,
you need 2 hours to prep. You don't even need 20 minutes. If you're familiar with it, if you're comfortable with it, grab it, make sure the dates are straight, make sure that the names are spelled correctly. Even sometimes if I'm rushing, when I get out there, we go through it together. Okay, the date, whatever the name. A lot of times that's not even a big issue because they'll just say, well, just cross it off in an issue. You know what I'm saying? So why are
right.
you blowing up the title company or the signing company? If it's wrong, they're just going to tell you, just correct it, initial it. That's it. They're not going to send you all new documents most of the
Right.
time.
And one of the things, and then because as people was calling me, I said, okay, well, and I still ask these questions now. And those of you looking at this video, the question is asked to you, what is it that you are concerned about with the documents? What is it that you're afraid of? What is it
Right.
that you feel you're not familiar with? And the reason why I asked that question, because you have to identify what the issue is in order for you to address it and correct it. So
Right.
when people say, well, I'm not confident, okay, what is it that you're not confident? And most people say, well, I'm not confident in the documents. Okay, then my next question is, what in the documents are you not confident in?
Right.
And 98% of the time, I'm gonna throw it down, no, really 99, but 98% of the time, it's the content of the document, about what the document is saying, and
Mhm.
whether or not I, as a notary, can answer their questions if they don't understand something that is within the contents of the documents. I said, how are you with notarizations? Some people have told me I don't really know how to notarize. Some people have said, excuse me, I'm okay with it. I'm
Mhm.
so, and I'm like, that's what you got to get familiar with. That's what you need to learn. That's why I did the document overview video, so people will be able to say, okay, now I know, like you just said, where the person needs to sign.
Right.
So it's sort of easy because I would have to say truly 98% of the time it has their name on
Yeah.
there where they need to sign. So you
Right.
see John and Jane, they need to sign there. Now there are documents, and I did a video about that where I think it's through Old Republic. They have this homestead affidavit. On the homestead affidavit, it has 2 lines, and there is no place. I mean, 2 lines for them to sign, and it does not have their name there. It doesn't have the borrower's name there. It has nobody's name on that document, but it's a homestead affidavit for them to fill out, and they are to sign it, and we are to notarize it.
Right.
But you look at that document, it literally has no indicator on there as to who should sign what. But in the instructions that they give us, it tells us they are to sign this and you are to notarize this. So when you come across it, you shouldn't be sitting there freaking out like, I don't know what to do with this document. But at the same time, like you shared, you call the title company, you call these people, and too many notaries are like, well, I don't want to seem like I don't know anything. Well, at this point concerning that, you don't. I've only had twice a title company, or at least a signing company, fuss at me for calling them. And it was primarily because they was under the gun and I was brand new with this. And they was like, well, shouldn't you know this? And I'm like, why should I know this?
Right.
And she said, well, you've been trying. I said, not in this. I said, I've been trained in how to notarize. I said, I wasn't trained on this thing here. I said, look, and this is my advice to all notaries. You got to take the emotions out.
Right.
The moment they start getting emotional, I said, wait a minute. I said, look, here's the deal. I can try to do this on my own if you want me to. If you say so, I will go and do this on my own. But I don't want to hear nothing from you if I mess it up and cause them not to get this deal done. I said, my goal here and your goal is to get the deal done, right? Yeah. I said, so that's why I'm asking for clarification. And this is why I share with notaries all the time. When you call the companies, don't just say, what's this? I don't know what this is.
Right.
What you do is you at least communicate what you do understand about the document or about whatever it is in front of you, and then say, look, I understand this, but this part here, I'm not fully sure about, and I just want to get clarification. This is, and I will say, even tell them, and I've done this, this is what I think it means. I just want to make sure that I'm understanding it correctly so that nothing happens with the documents getting executed. When you talk that way, now that puts the person mindset on, okay, wait a minute. This isn't a notary who's just being lazy. This is a notary that wants to make sure the documents get done right so that it can be executed.
Right.
You see, and every single time I've gone down that road and talked that way, then that person's now it's on them. You either gonna keep fussing because I'm calling, or you're going to go ahead on and help me. And which one is it? Because see, if you turn around and put me out there to pasture, like, okay, well, you just need to figure it out by click.
Right.
When I do, and I'm gonna do the best I can, but in my closeout report, it's going to be noted, I attempted to get this corrected, and so I called so and they didn't help me, ... And I will let it be known. Now, I've never had to do that because the 2 or 3 times, at least 2 times that I've done that, the person shifted their mindset and their attitude and got into the mode of, okay, let me help you out. And sometimes it's even best if you have the borrowers, if you have it on speakerphone, because now the borrower's here and they like, okay, the notary trying to get help, and this person ain't helping the notary.
Yes. And I always talk on speakerphone because I don't want the signer sit in front of me, feel like I'm hiding, you know what I'm saying? I'm being transparent because I'm an unbiased party, remember? You know what I'm saying? So I'm conveying their concerns to the title company, and they, they can rest assured that, they're listening. And you're right, because a lot of times, and I haven't had it happen many times, but a couple times where the people on the other line are kind of like sniffy with you. And when they get off the phone, the signer's always like, wow, that wasn't nice. You know what I'm saying? And you're just trying to do your job and make sure it's straight. I'm like, okay, you heard it, right? But yeah.
No, and you're right, because, and this is like, and I mentioned it at the Queenswood Inc., that we are business owners. whether you
Yeah.
call yourself an LLC or not, but
Yeah.
who we are actually dealing with are employees. And there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong with them being an employee, but
Right.
it's not a business owner to business owner relationship who
Mm-hmm.
we're communicating with. We're dealing with employees who
Yes.
have a responsibility and a role to get certain things done, certain metrics hit, so that they can continue to get paid, so that they can get their bonuses. And I'm all for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've learned that a lot of these individuals who we communicate with, they personally may not understand our notary laws. They may not know anything about notary. So when we're coming and saying, I'm not sure if I can do that, I need some clarification,
Yes.
they're like, look, you know, they can get a little defensive. And to me, sometimes they may think, okay, well, if you're not going to get this done or this can't get done, that's going to hurt my numbers because
Right.
I'm responsible for, I picked you.
Mm-hmm.
I, the employee of such and such signing company, a title company, picked you, and now you're saying this is not going to get done.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute, that can mess up my. So that thought can be in their head. Could be. Hear me out, people. I'm not saying it. It could be. So if that's their concern, that the notary is, and just imagine there was 2 or 3 other notaries prior to you calling that
Mm-hmm.
called in and bailed on them.
Right.
And I've been told by schedulers or whoever that contact person is, it was like, when you come in and you say, hey, look, I just want to find this out, that or as you said, I'm here to help you, I'm a part of the team, I'm willing to work with
Right.
you. I understand, like one of the signers I had supposed to have been at 7:30. They didn't have the documents. I couldn't meet the people till 9:30. It was an hour's drive out into Suffolk from my house on a
Mm-hmm.
rainy night. And the wife normally goes to bed at 9 o'clock because she's on medication, and she had to hold off taking her medication because it makes her sleepy.
Right.
They were not in a good mood, but I hung in there with the title company, the signing company, and
Yes.
got it done. And one of the things that they had told me, they said, thank you for doing this, because today we've had so many notaries back out on deals or not show up. And that gave me an insight. I said, wait a minute, what happened? She took time out to explain. She said, yeah, we have notaries who we're trying to find out where they're at. We don't know where the notary at. We got 3 orders that these different notaries are supposed to be at, and they didn't show up,
Wow.
or they got there and they just left and never called to tell us what the status is. So we're trying to run that down. So thank you for being patient with us
Hmm.
so that we could get this deal done. And see, that's how I became in good with these people, with the signing companies and stuff. So that, and even if I did make a mistake, they give me some grace, okay, well, Griff, you made a mistake. We
Right.
know you normally this, that, and
Yeah.
the other, and I have made a mistake. And they give me, okay, Griff, don't do that no more.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Made a mistake. And I own up to it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how you get in good with them. And I
Right.
keep, and I know people don't like hearing this come out of me when I talk about taking these orders under $100
Mhm.
or having sometimes to drive an hour or what have you. But sometimes that's what you got to do. I mean, I have a client that's up in Richmond and they normally pay $90. Okay, cool. I'm not going to squabble over $10. Everybody's saying you got to have the $100 to move,
Right.
but I get consistent work from them. And then they call me and ask me would I go out to Franklin, Virginia area, which is a little more than an hour away.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, cool. And they asked me how much. I said 150. They said no problem. Now, my question, see, in my mind, I started thinking, I said, so for as the Facebook notaries and YouTube notaries, would that be a good deal to them? You got to drive an hour away,
Yeah.
way out there in the boonies. I'm talking about pure farmland. I'm
Right.
talking about 2-lane road. The house was sitting surrounded by cornfield. I mean, you are out there. You ain't got the lock, nothing. And I'm like, man, I'm way out here. For a notary, would that be enough for them? But I got a good relationship with this client that trusts me to be able to go out there and take care of their client. And and honestly, even if they told me they couldn't pay 150, if they came and said all we could do is 90, I still would have went because of the relationship that I have with them, and they're a good company. I'm like, I'll go out there anyway. And that's how I established my relationships with companies, is that if they was in trouble, I was like, okay, what do you need?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead on and do it. And that's why, and when I started understanding the process, like you were talking about here, we'll get back to that, is I'm the last person in this here thing, and it's important for me to be ready to go. And at that time I was like, I don't know what's happening on the other side of this phone call, but all I know is when they tell me here's the documents, I got to be able to go. And going back to what you said earlier, staying in constant communication with the borrowers.
Yes.
My rule is when an hour comes, an hour before the appointment, if I don't have the documents, I'm calling them or texting them, hey, I don't have the documents yet. I'm waiting on the documents. Once I get them, I'm gonna be printing.
Yes.
Go through them real quick, and then I'll be on my way to you. If I don't get them by 30 minutes, I mean, in the next 30 minutes, let's say if I'm supposed to be there at 4 o'clock, I'm calling them. And what I've learned is, and the reason why I don't contact the signing company anymore, because I've been fussed at for doing that because they're so busy. So by 4:30, I'm like, okay, you may want to reach out to your lender, find out what's happening. So then the borrower calls the lender and they get the straight deal, because that's when I found out sometimes the signing company doesn't know, or they're not getting a response back from their contact. So when the borrower calls the lender and says, hey, the notary's waiting on the documents, what's going on?
Right.
And then now that's when I learned it's either the lender saying, oh, we got some problems, or title got problems.
Right.
That's when I found out it was one of the two. And then they'll come back and say, you know what, it's canceled, or can you come back later? And it's like, no problem. If it can fit into my schedule, I say, okay, no problem. I'll take care of you. And sometimes they will pay me more on their own. Very rarely have I had to sit here, well, that's going to be 9 o'clock at night and it's supposed to be in at 5 o'clock. And I'm not, they're like, hey, we'll compensate you for that because you took the time out to say yes, instead of having them run around and try to find another notary. They're like, hey, can you? And I say, yes. Floor back to you, lady.
Right. So, like I said, just kind of controlling the process, and, staying in contact with the signer, and just coming across like you're the authority, like I'm going to take care of you. You're going to be okay. And not just the signer, but again, back to the title company, I'm going to take care of you too. You need to know that you're in good hands. You're going to send it to me. You've chosen me for a reason. I'm going to handle it. And, a lot of times, like I said, and I've had this happen 3 times where I would call the signer and I would say, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be there at 7:30. And every single time they were like, that's not the time that I had. I just got off the phone with them. So I think sometimes they do that on purpose, but guess what? No problem. Like I said, still haven't received the documents. When I get them, I will be there as soon as I can. And I'm going to constantly update you. And, when I do get them, I let them know I do have to print them out. I need to make sure the dates are everything okay, but I'm coming. Rest assured, I'm not going to just not show up. I'm going to be there. And that's all they want to hear. You know what I'm saying? But again, you have to remember, it's a lot going on behind the scenes. They're not just working on that one particular set of loan docs. They're working on many of them. It's a madhouse. And these are people that are getting dinged as well for mistakes, for not getting things out in time. You have to remember that, like you said, they're W-2s. We're independent contractors. You know what I'm saying? So we're at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to this whole process. So they're getting beat up. So guess who they beat up on? The people that they feel like have the least power in the situation. You know what I'm saying? So they have to remember that. But like I said, I think for the most part, most of the the notaries that's been doing these loan signings for, some time now, they're pretty comfortable in the process. I think it's a lot of these new people, with the fear of even, the mistakes and, and just all the documents,
Right.
and they're still not familiar with it. And what I did was, in the very beginning, I didn't, this was even before I took a course. Like I told you before, the business just started coming to me. I didn't even pursue the business. It wasn't until I started getting more and more signings that I was like, oh, I need to really, familiarize myself with these documents. So I told you the other day, I would Google, what I'm saying? Once I got a set of documents, I would go to Google and Google the title, and it gives you a brief description.
Right.
There's hundreds of cheat sheets. If you Google them, loan signing document cheat sheets online, they
Mhm.
give you a little 3 or 4 line verbiage on what to say. This is this document. This is da-da-da. They don't care. They don't care. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They just sign. They just signing. They just want to hear something. They don't want you to be like, well, let me get on the phone with the the signing company, because I don't know what this one is, baby.
Yeah.
They upset with you. First of all, they don't lost confidence in you. The title company or the signing agent, they're upset with you now, because now you're just being, just come on,
Right.
handle it. That's how they feel. We sent it to you, now you handle it.
And that's why, to me, it's important for notaries. And what I'm trying to do is get notaries to focus on what's the important part in the process for them.
Right.
Okay, as a notary, I'm supposed to do what? What am I commissioned to do? And that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm commissioned,
Yes.
going back to what you said earlier. I mean, you talked about this about being, a neutral party, unbiased.
Right.
So I'm supposed to ensure what? These documents are signed, these documents are notarized. I'm
Right.
not supposed to influence a
Mhm.
person either way. So if I'm talking about the documents, am I talking about them so that the person can be educated or more aware of what the document is so that they can make a decision on their
Right.
own?
Mhm.
Or am I talking about the documents and educating them on the document so that they can make the decision that the title company and everybody else wants? That's two
Mhm.
different things,
Right.
because you can communicate in such a way to say, here's this information. This here is what the document is about.
Mhm.
Now they have to decide yay or nay. But
Mhm.
if you talk about the document in such a way to where they feel like, okay, well, I have no choice but to sign, I can't make a decision on my own. Now
Right.
you've just influenced the process as a notary,
Mhm.
and you're no
Yeah.
longer biased, because if your goal is, I want to make sure this get done so I get more than a print fee. Because see, if you're concerned about, well, I done did all of this 215 pages 2 times, so 430 pages, and all they're going to do is they're going to back out the deal. And now your goal is to try to make sure that they sign so that you can get the full
Mhm.
pay.
That's right.
That's a dangerous thing. Now, okay, technically, if the signers never say anything, nobody will ever know. But let them feel like, well, I feel like I was forced to, because,
Right.
well, then, I mean, I really didn't understand, but the way the notary talked to me is like, I just needed to sign.
Mm.
And you never want to be in that situation where you're making people feel like you need to sign. That's why
Yeah.
it's very dangerous. And I know several companies have said it. They said, don't use the right to cancel as a means to get somebody to sign, saying, oh,
Right.
well, you have the right to cancel, so just go on to sign it,
Yeah,
and you
just
got
go
to
ahead and sign. You
just go
got
on to
3
sign.
days. Yeah.
Here's the problem with that.
Mhm.
If they have a life event come up, birth of a child, death of somebody, car accident, within them 3 days, the right to cancel is going to be out of their mind. Not even the last thing. It's not even going to be on their
Right.
mind, because
Yeah.
now we have a life event that's going down and we got to deal with that. Something happened to the house or what have you. Anything can happen. And
Mhm.
now they was already iffy about the deal, because one of the things I learned from the title all the way back to the lender, there may have been problems going down between the borrower and them
Right.
people that
Yeah.
we don't know about, that's
Yeah.
making them feel iffy
Mhm.
about the whole process. And they're not saying anything. Sometimes they won't say anything, and they have these questions and they're asking questions, and it's like, okay, why are they asking that?
Mhm.
And they're already like, oh, and then you're opening your mouth in such a way to make sure that they sign it, or you
Yeah,
tell them, well, just sign it and you got this right to cancel.
right.
And then they don't cancel because of something happens or they forgot.
Yes.
And now they're in a deal that they really wasn't comfortable with.
Mhm.
And they're like, well, the notary said, and you don't want to be in that situation. And I've talked to title companies and they've told me, they said, you got to be careful about what you say as a notary because you do not want to be named in the lawsuit. Because if you say the
Exactly.
wrong thing and
Yeah.
decide to go after the title company or the lender because they didn't like the deal, and somehow they can tie the notary in there because the notary convinced them to sign, you can hang that up.
Mhm.
You can hang that up. I'm serious. I mean, all jokes aside, that is what you don't want.
Yeah.
And no amount of insurance, because again, if the insurance is supposed to protect you from mistakes made doing your notarial duties and
Mhm.
you bumping your gums, it's not a notarial duty.
Right.
What grounds do they have to back you? Because
Mhm.
what you did was outside of the realm. What you did was not even a part of the state. And again, which leads into why now I'm pushing people to take the Notary Essentials course,
Right.
because what it dawned on me this year that if you got, when I, especially when I did that research on the insurance and I did about 2 or 3 videos about insurance, what I realized, I said, wait a minute, if you do get pulled in, let's say me, let me put it on me. If I get pulled in, what do I have in my notary education history that can prove that I was doing stuff correctly?
Mhm.
And I said, really nothing, because I've been told all this time, you don't have to worry about taking the notary essentials. I mean, yes, yeah, it's good to take it, but I mean, if you understand, just read your state's handbook. So I'm like, okay, I went back and did the notary essentials. Awesome
Right.
course. And
Yeah.
then I realized that a lot of the people that I've been communicating with who have taken the notary essentials and understand what was taught out of there, those are the people who had the least amount of problems
Yeah.
understanding how to properly notarize.
Yeah.
But the people who just took these training courses, but not necessarily notary essentials, or they didn't try to learn, or they're like, well, the notary essentials wasn't they didn't teach in my style of learning. I'm like, okay, but they had to teach something. I get it. You had to learn something in there. Those are the people who have the most problems. Those are the people.
Yeah. Because
So
they spend way too much time on trying to learn what the documents are and trying to explain the documents versus, like you said, paying more attention to the notary essentials part of it and knowing your state laws and things like that. Like I don't do that. Like I of course, I like to, for instance, the Alpha statement. This is the application. This is the information that you gave when you originally applied for the loan. Just by signing this, you're just certifying or agreeing that the information is accurate. That's it. You don't go into that's all I go into. And like I said, each document is 2 or 3 lines at the most because I'm not just shoving documents in your face, just saying sign here, because
right,
that doesn't make anybody feel comfortable. You know what I'm
true,
saying? Like you said, they're already on edge most of the times. Like I'm running across people that started their process in November. And
true,
here we are in June, what, 7 months later, and they're finally getting to, closing. Like, so they're ticked off. I mean, I've done a refi twice. And I was refined within the same month that I applied for. So I couldn't even imagine the
hmm,
frustrations of having to deal with this for 6, 7 months, going back and forth with somebody. And most of the times, like a lot of times you're dealing with these when you're doing a refi, you're not dealing with one person. Sometimes you're dealing with a team. You know what I'm
hmm,
saying? You're dealing with these call center people. You're getting bounced around a lot. And
right,
so they're already upset. So, I don't spend a lot of time. I don't do that. And another thing I do when I arrive at the signing appointment, once again, I'm reiterating because I also tell them via phone call or text message, I am an unbiased party. My job is basically to witness your signature,
Mhm.
and make sure your ID is valid, and make sure you're signing in the right places. I don't know anything about your loan documents. I'll even make a joke. I say, I don't even know how much you hate your loan, your lender, whatever. And they'll start laughing. And some of them like, and then some of them like, oh no, they're actually pretty cool. I really like them. You know what I'm saying? But I like make a joke,
Mhm.
and I'm letting them know I don't know, and a lot of
Right.
times I'm like, I get documents. You know what I'm saying? I don't do that. That's not what, I don't get involved like that. That's not my role. My role is to do this. And then they understand. So they're not putting that back on you. They're not putting, but before I started explaining that, I would just say, I'm the notary. I'm here to do this and that. And it would constantly ask questions. So what
Mhm.
I do now, like I said, that initial phone call, that initial text message, I'm an unbiased party. I'm not familiar with your loan docs. I hope you've read them all. And
Mhm.
any questions that may have, I hope they've already been answered by your lender.
Right.
And I say that again once I get there. Okay, have you had all your questions answered by your lender? And they're like, oh, we're good. Yeah, see these documents 100 times, and they're just ready to sign. They're just ready
Right.
to get it over with.
Yeah.
But if you come in here with your nervous energy,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying, trying to do way too much, because I think that's part of it. You're doing way too much.
Right.
You're
You
doing
can't go in there
that's
trying to put on a production. I mean, there is somewhat of a production, but you have to be mindful of it. And going back to what I was saying earlier, because what I got to thinking, I said, everything you said is correct, because I do a lot of what you said. And the
Mhm.
reason why is because because I got to thinking, I said, if I did get hauled into court, what what would a good lawyer do to
Mhm.
prove that I am the one at fault? Okay, what kind of training does this notary have? And if they looked at my training record and saw that I never took the notary essentials, what
Mhm.
would a judge think? Well, this notary must didn't know what they was doing. No, I did, Your Honor.
Yeah.
And then especially if it's like, well, the NNA, who you're certified by for the signing agent part, they
Mhm.
have these additional things that you could have done. Well, I was busy. We don't care about you being busy. You should have done these things. You could have done these
Yeah.
things to have given yourself more, not especially, and I think of it this way. If there's a piece in the training that identify or dealt with the thing that you did wrong,
Mhm.
you made a mistake in doing such and such, and there was training that covered that, or a segment of the training that covered that, but you never took the training.
Right.
So now they're gonna be like, well, and then the insurance company gonna be like this here, throw in the towel, and they be like, look, we done, we done. So I'm like,
Yeah.
you don't want to be in that situation. But like you said,
Right.
I communicate with the couple. I let them know where I'm at. I let them know I am not. I tell them, I said, I didn't even know you existed until the order came to me yesterday.
Mhm.
And they're like, oh, you just found out? I said, yeah. Because some of these people, they think that you are part of the process, that you
Right.
and them. And they're like, so how's John doing? I mean, they asked me, like, so you work with John a lot? I'm like, who's John? Oh, the lender for, I'm like,
Oh,
I
you
don't
don't
know.
know John.
I don't know who John. And there have been times where I've literally had to stop and explain to them the process. I say, your lender, I say, here's your lender. Then there's the title company. And then
Mhm.
from the title company is a signing company. This little person over here, the signing company.
Right.
And then
Right.
they come get me. So the people who I'm communicating with is either the signing company or the title company. And a
Yes.
lot of times I'm not even allowed to talk to the title company. There's a few signing companies that specifically say notaries do not call the title. You
Right.
only contact us. So you
Right.
have to follow those directions in contacting the signing company, and then they run the buffer over there,
Mhm.
for whatever reason, which I if I can't get with the signing company, then I prefer, like, let me get with the title or the lender to get the real
Right.
answer. But if that's your agreement, and that's what I've had to agree to in order to work with you, okay, fine. I just sometimes hope that a mistake that was on their end, they don't put it on me. And I
Right.
and I and I would prefer to be able to communicate stuff more directly myself, since I'm there with the borrower. Plus, I like talking to the title and the lender on the phone, because I learn more about the documents and more about what's going on and why it's going on.
Right.
You know, like case in point, there was a situation where the signer, her money coming back on the CD was way less than what she was originally told.
Mm.
And this was a Sunday afternoon up in Hampton. And I was like, ma'am, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
She finally got the lender on the phone. She put him on speaker. I always ask him, say, please put him on speaker. She put him on speaker. He was like, I don't know. Let me check. So when he went and dug a little deeper, he found out the title company learned that the previous lender had underestimated the escrow for
Mm.
the whole time they had that loan, and was behind in a sense on the escrow payment. Basically, they wasn't paying enough in escrow for the true taxes and insurance, mainly the taxes. So
Yeah.
when title finally got the numbers from the city, they was like, this is how much of a shortfall.
Mm-hmm.
So they took the money that was supposed to have been coming to them and extracted that and said, okay, you're supposed to got, say, 2,700, you're only going to get 1,200 because we took part of that 2,700 to get your taxes straight with the city before we
Mm.
close. So now
Right.
you went from 2,700 down to 1,200. She was not that she said I need the money, but I just don't know why it dropped.
Mm.
So the CD I had versus the CD they had from 3 days ago was
Right.
completely different. And the only way, and so now when I see, I don't talk about it, but I know I have a better understanding now. When I see somebody's cash that they're getting back,
Mm-hmm.
their cash to close is way less. I'm like, okay, it might be the taxes. And then they're called a lender, and 99% of the time, it's the title company found out at the last minute there was a tax problem.
Right.
And that's why you're not getting three
Yes.
grand, you're only getting 1,000.
And the taxes is always a big one, always a big one, when it comes to the settlements. Like
Right.
it happens all the time. And I think I mentioned earlier, like a lot of times where um, the the settlement and when the seller paid the taxes, it's kind of it'll like cross paths in a way. Um, there's been lots of instances where the sellers already paid the taxes, and then
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they get upset because they have to double pay because the title company or the attorney, they have to collect that.
Right.
So if they hadn't received it and it hasn't been updated in the system down at the city, yeah, you could show me, on your online account that you sent it. But if they haven't received it, it has to be collected again, and you just gonna get a refund after it's all said and done. But
And you're
this
right,
happens a lot.
because
Taxes is a big part of it. Big
right.
part.
And I found out flood insurance too, because flood insurance is supposed to be done through the escrow account.
Right.
However, I ran across a gentleman, he paid his flood insurance out of pocket
Hmm.
up front for the whole year, for this whole year, for 2021, refinancing last week, and his payment was supposed to be nine something. And then when we got to closing, it was over 1,000 because title added in the escrow to get covered for the upcoming year for the first 4 months of the next year. He was like, nah, I'm not paying it because I've already done. He said, because I've already paid the flood
Mhm.
insurance. It's done.
Right.
So he was like, I'm not signing. So I left. I contacted the signing company. Everybody was like, well, if he's not going to sign, all you can do is bounce.
Right.
So I left. Then they called me back and said, hey, can you go back out there to him? And this is down in Deep Creek, so I'm going down to Deep Creek, and I'm like, man, during the rush hour time at that. And I'm like, all right, I went back out there and come to find out that there was just a miscommunication. In his mind, he was like, I don't want, I'm gonna just pay it out of pocket and y'all don't worry about it. But I
Mm.
guess legally they was required to collect a certain amount of that flood insurance money. So he
Mhm.
said what they're doing is they're collecting it and then they're just going to have to refund me. And
Hmm.
I had mentioned that to him because he asked me about it. I said, well, only from what I heard other, you know, um, loan officers say, they told him, said, if you paid this much, if you made, because what it was, he was asking, then it was, and I don't know how this is going to work. he actually went ahead on and paid his mortgage payment. He had no mortgage payment due,
Oh, wow.
but he got nervous.
Yeah.
So after I left, he went and paid his mortgage payment. And I know from experience that that can throw the numbers off for the payoff.
Mm-hmm.
So he
Yeah.
went ahead on and paid his current mortgage. And I said, well, I said, from my understanding, they may refund that, but I don't know. I said, you have to talk to your lender. I said, from what I've heard other lenders say, and I've heard lenders straight up say, don't pay your mortgage payment. But
Right.
if you make that payment,
Yes.
it's going to
It's
throw the
over.
numbers off.
Yep.
And he went and did it anyway. And then after the fact, he started getting all nervous and scared and this, that, and the other. And they said, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. It was like, don't worry about it. So you have that. Now, here's something else that I noticed. And I don't know if this happening a lot. On some of the closing disclosures, they have listed partial for the real estate taxes being taken out in escrow. And I sort of missed that one time because I was going through the thing and I told the guy, say, here's your escrow, here's your closing costs and all of that. And then you have that section that breaks it down, does, homeowners insurance, is it in escrow? Yes. Real estate taxes. In my mind, I'm thinking that it said yes, but it actually said partial. And I didn't catch that. So we still was going through and the guy said, hey, why am I getting a bill for paying my real estate taxes? I said, I don't know. You shouldn't. It comes out of your escrow. He said, no. And he showed me the bill. So I said, wait a minute, maybe I missed something. I went back to the CD and sure enough in the CD, it said for his real estate taxes, partial.
Oh, wow.
Somehow the title company or lender was only taking out part of his real estate taxes that are due through escrow. And that left him responsible to pay the rest out of pocket.
Did you ever figure out why was it there?
No, I never figured out why.
Oh.
Yeah, never. He was a military guy, never figured out why. And I said, once he showed me, and I said, well, sir, I can't really tell you why, because in this case, I had never dealt with that before. I said, but what I will say is this: you need to contact the city and you need to contact your lender and all of them and find out what's going on. Because he said he'd been getting these notices for a while and he had been paying them, but he was like, well, I don't know why I need to pay it. And I was like, no. So that's something new that I know I have to watch out for now. Because I've heard of I've seen it where the person is paying the escrow out of pocket, but I had not seen partial on the real estate taxes. And that threw me off. Why would you have part of the escrow, for the taxes being taken out and not the full amount and everything? But what you're saying is excellent. So from my understanding, as you've learned that there's a lot of stuff going on in the background that notaries aren't aware of.
As a real estate agent, I'm part of that. You know what I'm saying? And as a notary, you guys don't know, but because I wear two hats, you know what I'm saying? I'm a real estate agent. I'm part of the background. And when I'm a notary, I wouldn't know that if I wasn't a real estate agent.
Right.
So, this is why I'm able to really stay calm, control the process, or as much as possible. You try to do that as much as possible. You just want to keep everybody, just calm, because it's a lot of moving parts. And it's just up until the last minute, even before, I've been a real estate agent a little over 7 years now before I became a notary. So it's stressful. It really is. It's stressful on everybody. So, I could just imagine a party not being a party to all of this and just kind of just off on their own, waiting for some documents and it's not personal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The title company are not just holding on to the documents because they want to make your life miserable and they want to make you late for your appointment and, have the signer, upset with you. Is like, stop taking it so personal. It's really not about you. You have to realize that this is a machine right now.
Yeah. And now one of the things that I've always said was, and this will help me understand or get to a point where I say, okay, let me stop freaking out about all of this stuff. Because as
Mhm.
calm as I may seem, people, yes, Griff was freaking out, nervous, scared, worried, all of that when I first started. But then all of a sudden, I reflected back on when I was selling my townhouse and buying the current house that I'm in.
Mhm.
And we waited all the way down to the last minute.
Yep.
And I remember something to my real estate agent, and I know she'll probably be looking at it, Pam Lewis. She's here locally. She's cool people. I don't know if, her and her dad started real estate way back in the day. Her dad, Frank McKinney, he helped me buy my house. And she said something simple. She said, Griff, she said, this industry is last minute by nature.
Yes.
And I reflected back on that. I don't remember signing a single paper that day.
Mhm.
Honestly, don't. I just remember the building where we went to, and I remember her saying that statement because I was like, why are we just not finding this out? And
Mhm.
all I remember her, and I think we had to bring cash to close, and I don't even remember how much it was. And she said, well, Griff, the real estate industry is last minute by nature.
Right.
So going through this as a notary, and I'm like, man, what is going on? And then she popped up in my head, and I was like, oh, snap. Well, if it's last minute,
Yeah.
there ain't too much I can do about that.
Right.
What am I freaking out over if the
Right.
industry in and of itself is last minute?
Mhm.
What can I do to fix that? Nothing. What can I do to be able to manage it? Be prepared.
Right.
So have my printers filled with paper, have ink, have the stuff that I need to have.
Mhm.
That's why when I first started, I went back and said, you got to have a conversation with your family so that they will understand that you might be sitting here, like you said, they're cooking, and then all of a sudden the order comes in, you
Yeah.
can go.
Yeah.
But if you're not prepared, like, if you're not ready, if you haven't stored up, I mean, I got ink all over the place. I mean, I got my ink here, got there, I got my paper, I got all
Yeah.
of that, I just bought some more paper, all of that. And I'm like, okay, I'm staying stocked up so that this is the way I look at it, Lavette. I honestly believe that everybody has the opportunity to be a great notary.
Right.
And the moment you decide to be a great notary by doing great work, notarizing documents correctly, showing the care and concern for the client, just like you just outlined, when
Mhm.
stuff is going crazy,
Mhm.
that person, that signing company will cape for you. They will be like, we
Yes.
want Lavette because we know
Yeah.
we can rely on her. And they will give you work because they know hey, we can rely on you to get it done correctly.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that means what? At any point in time, this thing can change for the better for you, where things are going sort of slow, mediocre, so, and then all of a sudden, an order will come in, and you'll be like, "Whoa, okay."
Right.
And all of
Right.
a sudden, I mean, like yesterday, I had an order. It was one person, and they had 3 properties. Now I
Mhm.
made 240 on that, which comes out to, as somebody already did the numbers, $80 a signing.
Right.
Oh, nah, nah, nah. Okay, here's my thought on this. I want 240. Let's just say I want 240 a day. I'm either going to find 2 120 deals
Mhm.
or 3 $80 deals. I got 3 $80 deals in my hand right now that I can
Right.
go and knock out. If I'm crying about the fact that it's $80 a pop, and I pass on that, now I got to try to find 2 120 deals. So I'm like, I'd rather take the 380 and get the 240. And if I happen to get 2 more deals for 120, all the better. But there's no guarantee. But I'm like, to me, when a company entrusts you to do 3 closings at one time,
Right.
that says a lot. That means they have confidence in you
Yes.
to get that deal done.
Mhm.
And that's something that I'm going to be adding in my profile, which I haven't, is that I can handle 3 to 5 closings at a time. And I've done that multiple times. That's why I say when you accomplish stuff like that, you put it in your profile, the
Right.
written part of your profile, so that they'll know that, okay, so you can handle last minute closings. You can handle this, you can do that, because they have it. But if
Yes.
you're a notary that's like, I can only do a closing where I have a 3-day leadway, you ain't gonna get too much. You're not gonna be able to go that far. So this is very enlightening.
Yeah.
This is very enlightening. So that tells me, from learning from what I've learned from you today, is that also, which we didn't cover, but we don't just mention it here, you got to be careful of how you schedule your appointments.
Yes.
So as time goes by, you start learning which signing companies have
Mhm.
clients that are late. And I put it that way.
Consistently.
Right.
Yes.
So I'm not putting it on the signing company being late. The
Uh-huh.
signing company has clients that can be late.
Mm-hmm.
So if the signing company has clients that can be late, and you take an order from them because they're paying you 150,
Right.
know that you may, like, I normally like to have a 2-hour window. There's certain companies out there, if I get an order from them, I'm gonna have a 3-hour window, where if I
Right.
get an order from them at 3, my next one ain't gonna be till 6, because
Mhm.
I've learned that there's a high chance I'm gonna get the wrong documents. I mean, literally get the wrong documents, or not get the documents until the last past the last minute.
Right.
So to not run into my next appointment, let me give myself a little bit more leeway.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I see that I'm already booked and I notice companies' clients are notorious late, I'm not going to put myself in that situation.
Right.
Much as I love working with them,
Yes.
but if I already got a 4 o'clock and I got a noon, and I'm like, okay, if I put a 2 o'clock in there, I might not get the documents until 3:30, which means I'm
Right.
definitely going to be late for 4 o'clock. And that's
Mhm.
going to, no, I'm not going to put myself in that situation.
Mhm.
So you have to be smart about it. But my thing is, as a new notary, probably try to do 2 or 3 signings a day,
Mhm.
space them out.
Right.
So, so you'll have some breathing room and everything.
Mhm.
So now, question I have for you is, how things have been coming along with you with notary.
Everything is good. So and I know you talked about many times about, people accepting $60 signings versus, $100+ signings. So everybody business model is different. That's why it kills me when I see people in the groups wanting
Mhm.
to know if this is good, if this is worth it. I'm like, Is it worth it for you? Have you figured out, your business and what does it take?" Like, I don't have kids. So I could take a $60 signing versus, someone that probably have a couple kids, they might not have the time. So everybody is different, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Um, yeah, I kind of, even though I've been a notary since 2015, and I think I started the loan signings in 2018. And it wasn't something I really pursued a
Mhm.
lot at first. It didn't really start picking up for me until 2019 because my phone started ringing. And then that's when I was like, okay, I need to brush up on this because I don't really know. I've
Mhm.
done the general notary work. Um, I took one of those courses, we talked about that. And now hindsight is always 2020. Like,
Mhm.
I tell people now, just go on and do the notary essentials through NNA.
Mhm.
There's tons of resources on YouTube where you can pretty much learn
Mhm.
everything that these guys are teaching, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because they're only teaching a small part of the business. They're only teaching how to present the forms, like you said, the production.
Mhm.
They're not really teaching people how to really notarize accurately. Um, but business for me is, I mean, I could be doing a little bit more, but I try to be strategic because one, I'm a real estate agent. So I
Mhm.
have clients that, for instance, I'm working with a client now. One of my buyers is in a $600,000 price point. So when they call me, because a lot I had them set up for things that when they see stuff, coming on the market, when they call me and say, Lavette, can you show me this house this evening? Yeah, I'm gonna show that house.
And that
You know
makes
what
sense.
I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm gonna show that house. I try not to. I would like to be a little bit more busy, but I have to be strategic about it. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? There are, and I don't want to just sign for anybody, because like there's a lot of I'm not part of the deadbeat group because my Facebook name doesn't match my commission name, so I can't join it. And I don't, and the reason why my Facebook name is different than my commission name is because I do a lot of marketing as a real estate agent,
Mhm.
and I get a lot of creepiness.
Mhm.
People finding me on Facebook, inboxing me and things like, it's really creepy. I
Yeah.
get random texts. I could always tell. I said, you know what? I just sent out $1,000 postcards. You start getting a creepy text. You start getting a random,
Mhm.
before I changed my name, just random friend looked me up on my business page on Facebook. And it's weird. It's weird. So
Yeah.
I changed my Facebook name because of my personal page, because of that, because um I limit myself to a small group of friends. It's mostly family and friends that I've known for a while, but I'm starting to open myself up again and just, accept friend requests from people that, I've recently met and that I've established a rapport with. But as far as business, I'm trying to be strategic about it. So, I just kind of sit back in the groups and try to see who's, more reputable companies, people that pay on time, and
Mhm.
they, you could probably negotiate a little bit more with them. But, a few of my directs, I love them because it could be 10 pages, they'll pay me 150. It could be 150 pages, they're gonna pay me 150. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it's always consistent for me with a couple of them. But I'm gonna try to pick it up a little bit because I want to get to a point where I'm doing at least, I would like to do it anywhere between, I think right now I'm only doing consistently because of the business, but I'm strategizing a little bit more to kind of put things in place. I'm probably doing about 6 to 8 closings a week. I would like to
Mhm.
maybe do 10 to 15.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to be, I can't do it full time because like I said, I'm a real
Right.
estate agent first. This is my first love. I love what I do. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? I wish I was a little bit more busier. The market right now is crazy. I used to be primarily a listing agent. So as you know, right now, sellers are not really putting their houses on the market because if they do sell and they don't have another property where they can live in, like where are they going to live? Because for instance, I was just telling you about that client that I have right now. We're submitting offers $50,000 over, guaranteeing the difference, with the low appraisal, um, $5,000 earnest money deposit, waiving inspections, uh, um, quick closing,
Mhm.
and still, and I've submitted probably 6 offers for these people. We've always been probably like in the top 3 or so, but
Mhm.
sometimes they'll come back and say, highest and best. We're like, highest and best. We've submitted $50,000 over. The house needs to be cosmetically improved. It looks like it's something from the early 90s. So it's a structurally sound house,
Right.
but everything needs to be updated. The cabinets, the fixtures, the flooring, everything, paint, everything. So you're already paying $50,000 over for this house. And now you got to come in here and probably sink another 80,000 in it
Right.
just for cosmetic stuff. So it's a strange market right now.
Yeah.
So but yeah, but notary, the notary work has been very good to me in the meantime and in between time to pay some bills. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would like to get those numbers up a little bit, but I just can't go like hard with it, and
Yeah.
nor do I want to, because like I said, I'm a real estate agent first. You know what I'm saying? And I
And that
love
makes
that.
sense. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things. And see, like for me, and it's just this here, I guess it was in the back of my mind when I went full time from a W-2. Now, like if you have a business like what you have, the real estate agent, and
Mhm.
then your person who's a notary, balance it out.
Right.
That's all you're saying.
Yes.
Balance it out. Now, of course, the people on YouTube make it seem like once you become a notary, that should be precedent. That should just be your main line of what have you.
Right.
And in some cases it can be. I think for somebody who's in a W-2 that they don't like, that is not for them anymore. It may have been for them a couple of years ago, but it's not anymore. I can see going full time.
Right.
Here's another thought that I have. And one young lady said this. I said, this is how I look at the money. I can make, because my goal is $300 a day. I need $300 a day that's Monday through Friday. And I pull in about $6,000 a month.
Okay.
My thought is this. I can make $300 a day as a notary or $300 a day on my W-2. On my W-2, I have projects, I have deadlines, I have all these things that I'm required to do to get that $300. Work 8 hours a day, make $300, and that's what they're supposed to pay me. But at any point in time, they can do stuff that can interfere with me getting my work done.
Right.
I'm there. I got a 2-week deadline, and where I was working at, we was on 2-week deadlines. So every 2 weeks we had to have these products done. And then now all of a sudden you're in the middle of your 2 weeks or on the last week of your 2 weeks, and they say, hey, everything got to stop. We need everybody to take this training that the government put out. We need everybody to refill out their CAT card information for their military, for their government ID.
Right.
We need to have a special meeting for whatever reason, and it's going to take 2-3 days. The bosses come down from Washington, D.C., and they want to put some information out. So you're in the middle of your project, of your work, and now you got to stop everything you got to do to accommodate them and all these other things. And then the sad part is, basically to me, the sad part is you got to go back tomorrow and deal with that same thing again.
Right.
To get that $300.
Yes.
Now, as a notary, I made $440 yesterday. I'll never have to see those people again. Monday, I can make another $400 and some dollars.
Right.
I pretty much don't have to see those people again. Tuesday, I can make $300. Wednesday, I can make $150 or whatever. What I'm saying is, each day I can make the money that I need to make to take care of my family.
Yes.
And never have to see the people who I just dealt with again.
Right.
So one young lady I was talking to, and when I mentioned that to her, she said, well, she said, to be honest, I'll take a couple of $60 orders if I don't have to see these people again. See, when you look at it in perspective, if you had an opportunity to get, and let's just, $60, yes, it's low, but let's just say 60, 80 or whatever. She's like, you know what, any dollar amount that I could take and get a couple of signings per day and make the same dollar amount that I'm making and not have to go and deal with the people that I'm dealing with now. When she thought about it, she said, you know what, I never thought about it that way.
Right.
She was like, you know what, if I can get 5 or 6 $60 orders and it makes the same money I'm making and I don't have to deal with, that's worth it.
Most likely it's going to be less than 8 hours. And you know what I'm saying, your mental health is not declining because every day you got to go to work in a toxic work environment. And then your quality of life is suffering at home because you're bringing that home with you and probably taking it out on, husbands, wives, kids, and everybody. So the peace of mind, and the freedom that comes along with this.
Yeah. So you do $60 orders, you do 5 of them, that's $300 a day. And that's the way I was looking at it. When I went full time, I looked at, because I was probably doing, I think about $300 a day. So I was making close to 86K a year, which came out to like $41 an hour. Yeah, so that came out to $328 a day. $328 a day that I was making. That was before taxes, of course, and all of that. But still, I said, okay, I came up to, I said, well, you know what? I can save $28 on watching what I eat and this, that, and the other. So let me just go with a flat $300 a day. So
Right.
I do $300 a day. And normally you work 20 days out of the month, you know. So I said $300 a day times 20, that's $6,000.
Mm.
Now, the question is, okay, we know it can fluctuate up, it can go down. Then you throw in a weekend signing here or there.
Right.
You throw in some general notary work here and there. I'm like, okay. And then of course I had my house inspection stuff. I'm like, okay, got that. But I said I want to pull 6 G's just from notary. And I said, so now all I have to do is go out there and get $300 a day on average, and I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point in time, I said, you know what? I ain't gonna worry about it. And see what people don't know about me, my mindset is once I understand how I can do good for my family,
Yes.
I don't worry about all of this other stuff. So like years ago when I started working, and this is just before 9/11, I was making $20 an hour and about $20 an hour, something like that. And I was like, you know what? And I was doing a job that I really didn't care for.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got the thing, I said, you know what? I said, they paying me to do something that I'm sort of good at that I really don't want to do, but it's taking care of the family. So I
Mm-hmm.
got up every day and went into a job, and knowing that I really didn't care for it, knowing that he really didn't care for me. But I said, this here is providing me what I need for my family at this point, and I'm gonna
Right.
use this time to get my act together so I can get something better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I did. So what I'm looking at now is, as a notary, there's other areas of notary business that you can work in. Of course, you have the general notary, we have the real estate closing, but
Mm-hmm.
the area that I really want to get into is the commercial real estate. I want to be a notary for them because you can get paid even more.
Right.
But I'm using this time that I'm a regular doing the residential to
Mm-hmm.
get familiar with the documents, have a good understanding, because there's certain companies that I've come across that they have a commercial real estate side to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize that. And I was like, oh, well, I most definitely need to make sure that they know that I'm reliable and dependable, and
Right.
they can count on me.
Yes.
But they will never know that if I'm just sitting on the couch doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on the residential side, they might be stuck at paying 85 or 90, but on the commercial side, they may be paying more. So I'm like, let me get my game together on the residential side of being a good notary here, so that I can have that as a part of my resume to say, hey, look, I've done 1,000 signings, 2,000 signings. And then that may make them say, okay, well, I think we can trust him to bring him over on this side of the curtain. But if you've been in the notary business for 5 or 6 years and you only got 100 signings,
Right.
and now you're asking some commercial real estate agent that's dealing with $1 million properties,
Mm-hmm.
hey, pick how long you been doing this? 6 years? How many sign? Well, I got like 100 under my belt.
Right.
You doing this
Right.
full time?
Yeah.
That don't make sense.
Right.
And that's the whole point that I want notaries to understand. Like you said, relax,
Mm-hmm.
get the signings, the money will come, the orders,
Yeah.
the higher fee orders will come, but you just got to get out there and do it. And when you have a relaxed mindset, a relaxed atmosphere about
Yeah.
yourself, these
Mm-hmm.
companies know that you're not there to be a pest to them.
Right.
They're going to do like, okay, we can rely on Griff, we can rely on Lavette, we can rely on Man and TT, because I'm telling you, y'all don't realize Man and TT, they done got their notary stamp and they about to take some orders from y'all. And you go out here and you do this thing and you do it right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I really want for notaries, is to get focused on what you can do and handle your area, which is proper notarizations. Documents get executed when they file them with the clerk's office. That
Yes.
makes you gold.
Right.
Because if you spend an hour explaining documents to somebody and then they go to file those documents and they're not notarized properly,
Right.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you said about the documents. they just lost $50,000 in equity that they were trying to pull out to take care of their dying mother or pay for their kids' college or whatever the case may be. You just held it up by 5 or 6 days because you didn't do your part correctly,
Right.
because you got mad. And lastly, that's why you got to be careful, notaries, about skipping out on deals just because the documents are late. Because when you cancel, you're like, well, they late. Like I've heard people told me, if they don't get the documents 2 hours before the appointment, they're canceling it.
Send it to me.
They're literally, I'm like, how do you do that? Because do you understand the repercussions?
Mhm.
And they're not saying because, well, I'm booked with other appointments. It's,
Right.
I don't have time to look through the documents like I want. So if I don't get the documents at least 2 hours, and I've heard some people say 3 and 4 hours, then I'm canceling the signing.
And for this business, that's so unrealistic. It's an unrealistic expectation. Like when I get last minute signings, or if I get a signing the day of, I don't expect to have those documents hours prior. I expected to get it as closest to that appointment time. That's my expectation. So I'm already preparing that person for this.
Right.
And like I said, most of the time, I actually haven't had one situation where the person wasn't cool. I had one time where the lady said, well, we're just going to have to cancel until tomorrow because my grandbaby. I said, look, I'll come out there. I'll hold the baby while you're signing. We're going to get through this together. Okay. And she was like, okay. By the time I got there, the baby was asleep. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't even have to do that. But again, I think those are people that are just, they're scared. You know, they're more about the show and presenting the documents and all of that stuff versus making sure that they're notarizing correctly. You know, I don't spend a lot of time explaining documents. That's why at the end of the signing, I can go back because I don't do my notarization until after they're done because I want to focus. I want to watch them while they're signing. And I could just go back through and do my stamps. You know, I've never not stamped a document and I go back through it again. So I'm going through the documents a total of 3 times, one when they're signing, 2 when I'm notarizing, and then 3 just going through it again just to make sure. And they love that thoroughness too. They love that.
And
So
you're doing that right while they're there.
right.
Yeah, and
Right.
I'm saying that because somebody probably thinking that, oh, Lavette is taking the documents in the back alley and notarizing somewhere.
Never.
Just because I don't want somebody to misconstrue what you just said,
Right.
is that they sign and then you go back through and you notarize, but you're doing
Right.
it
Right there.
their
Yes.
presence in front of them. So don't
Before
nobody be hopping in the comment section talking about she doing stuff wrong. You heard it from here. She's doing it correctly.
Never. I never, and I heard you say that in one of your other videos. Like you said, you seen people at FedEx, you know, it's a notary and they're stamping the documents. So like, first of all, I don't even know as a signer how you could leave. Like, aren't you supposed to notarize something? Wasn't that the whole purpose of you being here? I didn't see, and they get on the phone with the lender, but I didn't see them stamp anything. So if something goes wrong with that document, guess what they're gonna say? Well, she didn't stamp anything while she was here. So, but yeah, I'm very thorough. I go through the documents a total of 3 times before I leave. And then, you know, if it's earlier during the day and I have to do scan backs, I put the paperwork right in the envelope and seal it right in front of them, say, okay, I'm on my way to FedEx or UPS. And they're like, okay, Hercules. You know,
Perfect. Yeah. Well, I just want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your perspective with these notaries. Y'all, I hope y'all understand that you can do this business.
yeah.
Get focused on what's important and what you are supposed to do as a commissioned notary for your state. Follow those rules and regulations. Cover yourself by getting properly trained so that no attorney can go and look in your training record history and find that you haven't done any kind of real training towards what you're supposed to do as a notary, and then use that against you and then blame you for the mistake or make you be held accountable to pay damages that was caused by something you did that you probably could have not done had you taken notary essentials, had a state primer or something. You see what I'm saying? That's why I keep the Virginia Notary Handbook on my phone and in my bag in case there's something that comes up. I'm good to go. A lender might call and question something that I'm doing, or a title company or a signing company be like, well, we've been doing this for 40 years and you are to notarize it this way. And I'm like, nah, not according to my state guidelines.
Right.
And if my state guidelines say I'm not supposed to do that, then I'm not supposed to do that. But you don't know that if you don't understand your state guidelines and haven't done the requisite training to cover yourself. That's why I say, don't use me to cover you. You can call me and ask me any question that you want. But the moment I see that's a question that you really need to get back with the title company, I'm going to let you know. Why? Because that means that's something that I would do. I'm not going to tell you to give you an answer or a process to help you out that I wouldn't do myself.
Right.
So if you ask me a question and I say, you need to contact title, or you need to contact the signing company, or it's because that's the same thing that either I have done or I would do if I was in your same situation. So Lavette, Bell, real estate agent, notary signing agent, thank you so much for your time today. This was so educational for me. It just helped me understand much more about what's going on behind the scenes, and confirm some things. So I really appreciate you. I really do. And thank you for sharing yourself and your time with the notary community.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. And I was going to tell you, we probably have to do another video, or you're going to have to do a video about setting those expectations first up front, because when I'm in the groups and I'm seeing people that are posting things like the pet is the big one, how to address things like that. Like, I never have any issues with pets.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So yeah, just like I said, just kind of setting expectations up front. And in that way,
Okay.
everything is running smoothly.
Well, we'll get together and do a video on that one then.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Look, happy Juneteenth. I hope you go out there and have a blast today. All right.
All right. Well,
Have
thank
a
you
good
very
one.
much. And y'all have a good one, party people. Peace.